Good morning and welcome back to the Closers Cafe. It is a Wednesday morning, September 17th, and have a whole bunch of good stuff that I want to share today. Some updates on some of the messages, emails, etc. that I sent yesterday that I've already turned into opportunities. I also have some client follow-up that I want to share. And then some big updates to the Swipe for Leads web app. Grab your free 7-day trial at swipe4leads.com, swipe4leads.com. Just got to take care of a couple of housekeeping items here with the live stream, and then I am going to jump right into the work that I have lined up to share today. Please do me a huge favor wherever you are watching this on. Give me a thumbs up or a heart if you don't mind, and please also, if you have any questions or something isn't clear or was confusing to you, etc., let me know on that. I also have a couple of emails that came from other great agents like you all watching this that I will, I'm going to respond or share my response to them here because I think it can and will help you depending on what you're working on or what you're looking to do. So I'm just going to get right into it and start with part of my morning routine. Yesterday, when I mentioned and was going through the daily portal notification. Oh, wait a minute. I want that view there. We don't want to be showing contact info too big here. My daily portal notification summary, right? So this is an email that I get every morning from Bright MLS. It comes in at 3 in the morning, and every day I look through that, literally 7 days a week. I look through that to see who's looking at listings and to see who I might send a follow-up email to. And I said yesterday that generally speaking, the response rate on those emails is not overwhelming, right? I don't get like inundated with responses. And yesterday I sent 2 emails to folks that were in the this notification summary list, and both of them responded. So I'm going to do this work first, and then I'm going to show you the 2 that responded, and we can talk about that and explore why I think they maybe responded, versus folks that aren't, right? Because I do send a lot where there is no reply. But I'm committed to the work, not the results. Committed to the process, not whatever the process nets to me. So here's one I haven't heard from in a while. Morning, Amy. Curious where you're at with the home search. Still thinking about making a move this fall or winter. Send that away. That's a common email that I'll send out to folks like these. And then Charlene, I actually showed Charlene a house yesterday, and already had a conversation with her this morning. She was texting me bright and early about another house that she wants to check out. She, on our first Closers Cafe session last Thursday, had replied to or messaged through Bold Trail, sent a text message, got her connected with Jared, one of the LOAs on my mortgage team. We got her pre-approved, and she is very excited and ready to purchase a home. I'm going through the longer list here. I haven't heard from Inderjit in a while, so I'm going to message him. Morning. Curious where you're at with the home search. Still at all interested in making a move this fall? Send that one out. And Phyllis I've talked to, Jane I've talked to a few times. Okay. All right. So there's my daily portal notification sweep for the day. And now I want to highlight. So yesterday I sent 2 emails and I got 2 replies. So I sent one to Angela. The email, and I showed this yesterday. I didn't show this today, but I think this is critically important and something that I haven't been doing a good enough job with, which is when I'm sending these emails, including in the email something about the search criteria that they had mentioned to me. And I think it was just laziness on my part that I wasn't doing it. But when you echo that back, it shows a couple of things. One, that you listened to them in the first place, right? That you care about what they're looking for and what they're trying to do, and that you're thorough in your work, and they can count on you, that you're predictable. So my email to Angela, morning, just curious, are you still thinking about buying a home in Mechanicsburg area school district this fall? And are you still thinking price range up to 200K? She said yes and yes, waiting for my mom's estate to be finalized, hopefully soon, as it's been over a year. Thanks for checking in. And I just said, got it, makes sense. Let me know if or when we can help. And I made a note to myself that I'm going to follow up with her again next week to see. And specifically, I will push harder on this. Is there anyone I could refer you to help with getting your mom's estate finalized? That's where I'll push, not push, but that's where I'll offer help with. This was the other email that I sent yesterday. This was to Daniel. Looks like you maybe checked out a property from our listing alerts recently. Would you like me to send you more info on it? He said, yes, please do. Here you go. See attached was listed. I pulled information and let him know when it was listed last and what it was listed for. I included 2 PDF reports with that. One of them, a report that I pulled from PropStream. I love PropStream, and this is one of the many uses the many example ways that I use the tool. So when I have someone like Daniel who's interested in a specific property, or I have an investor who's doing his due diligence on a property, things of that nature, I'll use PropStream to pull this data here, specifically for analytical personality types. They really like digging into the numbers here. I had a client recently, wonderful older couple that we helped purchase a home. I guess when is it now? I guess it was the springtime. I don't even remember. And I very early on identified the fact that he was very analytical and wanted to know as much detail as possible on properties that I was sending. So that was something I would regularly do for him. And it actually saved me time and energy and effort also, because there were a number of properties that they thought they wanted to look. And then upon further review of either the disclosures or the additional property details, like what I sent Daniel here, they realized there was something about it that they didn't like. So not only was I demonstrating more value to them, but it also saved both of us time and energy. So I'm just going to say, morning, just making sure you got the PDFs I sent over. Is it something you might want to explore further? Something like that, just to keep the conversation going. Okay. So that's crossing that off the list for today. Next up, what I thought I would do is share something that came in yesterday. Nazim, watching on LinkedIn, I appreciate you. Thanks for that. So yesterday at EXP, we have a ton of incredible benefits, resources, etc. That agents like myself and people in my EXP organization can plug into. One of those is a division of our company called Revenos, which is our referral engine or referral division. And there are a number of different referral partners and relationships that we have at EXP where I will pretty frequently, I would say, a couple of times a month, depending on the time of year, I will get a text message that says, hey, we have a referral for you. They're looking for a home in blank area. Are you able to help them? Right. So I'll actually show you exactly what the emails look like when they come in. And depending on how busy I am or where the referral is, I may or may not accept them. But this one came in. It was in an area that I know very well and I'm in very often. It just says, hello, Josh, a new blank rewards from blank customer, I don't want to share, is looking to buy in Mount Holly Springs, PA. Can you call them in the next 10 minutes? Please answer yes or no. And so when you answer yes, I then am provided with additional info. I'm not going to show all of it because it's got his name and there are some phone numbers and stuff. But I called in. There are a couple of lessons in this story. That's why I'm sharing it. So I called in, and the way it works is you call into a call-in number for the referral company, and then they connect you with the potential client. And so they connected me with Ethan. I had a conversation with Ethan, and pretty quickly learned that he also has a home to sell, right? So now I've got multiple transaction side opportunities. He lets me know that they live in Mount Holly Springs. They need a bigger home because their family's growing and they have a specific listing that they were looking at. He further lets me know that he had already scheduled a time to see that listing through Zillow. So he had requested a showing tour through Zillow. So I said, okay, let me get back with our partner here on that. I don't want to throw a kink in the works and get this messed up for you or whatever. Let me just make sure that we've got all of it linked out. So in the conversation, I found out the property he was interested in, and I found out the address of his current property. So then I went and added him as a warm contact in Bold Trail. Okay, in Bold Trail. So I added him as a warm contact, and for every contact that I add to Bold Trail that I have that I know their primary address, of course, including that information as well. So I'm just telling you what I did because there's a good end to the story here. So I had this conversation with Ethan. It sounded like maybe he already, was hooked up with an agent. He even told me the agent that was going to show him the property that he had requested through Zillow Thursday night. He told me the name of him. I actually know the guy locally here. But there was no agreement signed, right? He had requested a showing tour through Zillow. There's no way there was a signed buyer agency agreement or anything like that. And I didn't ask him because I'm just using context clues to identify what the scenario is. So I entered him in as a new contact in Bold Trail with his name, email, his phone number, his address. I set up a market report for Mount Holly Springs, which is where he currently owns a home and where he wants to buy a home for his growing family. I added him to the listing valuation tool, and I sent him this email, which is, I do this. I send an email like this once a month to all of the contacts in my CRM, my warm CRM, my warm contact CRM. I send an email once a month that looks like this. I have a couple of variations that send them to their iList homeowner dashboard. And it's one of the tools that I talk about on these sessions. I talk about often on our mastermind calls, etc. You should check it out, growwithjosh.com/iList, ILIST, growwithjosh.com/ILIST. Actually, I'm going to drop that in the comments here because people often grab a free 30-day trial with iList. Now, it's my own enterprise version of iList called fastcashoffers.ai, fastcashoffers.ai. So anyway, I dropped that in the comments. Depending on what platform you're watching this, you may or may not see that. If you need the link, just let me know. Point is, I send an email like this once a month to all of the people, all of the contacts in my database that I have their email and I have their primary address, okay? And it gives them a value range, an adjusted value. They can explore offers. They can adjust the value depending on improvements that have been made. If it has a pool, if they have updated or upgraded landscaping, if there's other outdoor amenities, if there's something about the view or the location, etc. Anyway, I set all of that up for him. And in addition to that, I sent him all of the additional information I could find on the property in the MLS. Okay, so this was after the Closers Cafe yesterday. Let me actually, I can tell you exactly when this was. This was just before noon. Okay, this all happened just before noon. So I have a brief conversation with him. I get him all set up. I send him all that additional information. And at this point, again, it's a long shot because he already has an appointment scheduled with another agent. He calls me later in the day. He calls me, it was around 6 o'clock. He calls and he had reviewed the information I'd sent on the property. He had some additional questions about the property. And he said, hey, I didn't really like that guy that I was supposed to go look at the property with that I scheduled through Zillow. I want to work with you. My wife and I, we want to work with you. You seem great. And you've been super helpful already, etc. So I got him more information on that property. Unfortunately, based upon those additional information or that additional information and details, it doesn't work for them. However, we had a great conversation. I sent him more listings. I set him up in the MLS, in my MLS on a search alert, sent him more listings. And already early this morning, he asked if we could schedule a time to see another listing. And we're scheduled for Friday. So, he's got a house to sell that, we'll sell it for $250, $275 maybe. And he's looking to buy a house up to $350, not too shabby. And all of that came as an inbound corporate referral with EXP. Pretty cool. And more I was sharing to demonstrate and illustrate the fact that I just took the assumptive position that if I demonstrate more value and service than anyone else he's exploring working with, he or they will come to the conclusion that they would prefer to work with me. And they did. Does it work like that all the time? No. But if I commit to doing that, more often than not, it does work. Okay. So just find ways to go above and beyond to deliver value to the client and share as much information and details as you can. And in particular, I think it's important that you share info and details that they can't readily find. The reality is, information about real estate is more readily accessible to the general consumer than it ever has been. And so if all you're sharing is the information they already have or can find, you're just a commodity, right? You're just like everybody else and you're not really demonstrating value. Okay. So I wanted to share that story. Coming up at the top of the hour, so in about 12 minutes, we're going to go into swipe4leads.com and I'm going to do my fresh 5 for the day. I'm going to send my emails and texts through there and knock that out. Sean, our developer of the app, just pushed out 2 massive updates and upgrades to the tool because we had been getting some errors, and we're so grateful for the early adopters, the users that are using it and reporting back the things that they're seeing that are buggy or not working quite right. And even on these live sessions here, you've seen that I found a couple of quirky things that have come up with it. But we've made some massive updates to it. And so in about 11 minutes now, I'm going to log in and I'm going to do my fresh 5. I'm going to swipe for my leads and get going on that. Before we do that, though, I'm going to share a couple other things. And the reason why I'm waiting till 9, I like to wait for my cold outreach until 9 o'clock. Legally, you can do it at 8. But from that 8 to 9 hour, I like that to be reaching out to warm, right? So I've already had multiple conversations with agents and other leads before and after dropping my girls off at school this morning, and I'll do some other warm stuff. But that cold outreach, I like to do, starting at 9 Eastern for whatever reason, right? I just think that's a good point of delineation for me. Okay, so the other day, I got a lead from one of our listings. His name is Landon. He came in, I think he came in through homes.com from one of my listings. It was either Homes or Zillow. Point is, I wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't have the listing, right? So you got to have the listing to get started. And I set him up in the MLS based upon the search criteria that he had told me he was interested in. But I got a notification this morning. Okay, look at this. I got a notification. Actually, let me clean this out. I got a notification this morning that, whoops, not that. Where is he? Right here, that he hasn't activated it. In other words, he hasn't gotten the email and opened it. So I'm gonna respond. Morning, Landon, set you up on priority listing notifications a couple days ago, but it doesn't look like you've been getting them or opening them up. Wondering if I have the best email or if maybe it landed in your spam/junk folder. Why am I going the extra mile? Or if it landed in, I got to keep it to 220 or less. Why am I going the extra mile on this? Because this is a person who A, reached out about a specific listing. Right away, there's more intent there, okay? B, told me exactly what they're looking for, like specific criteria. And in fact, I think I shared this on one of last week's Closers Cafe because I was struggling to find the criteria in Bright that allowed me to send. He was very specific that his wife wanted a laundry on the main floor. They didn't want laundry in the basement, and they didn't want laundry on the second floor. They wanted a laundry on the main floor. And I don't recall ever having to set someone up in Bright for that. And I did find that criteria. If it's helpful, I'll share that. Whether you're using Bright or not, it might not be relevant. I'm sorry, whether or not you're using Bright, my point in sharing this is you can probably find that criteria when you have a client that says something very specific. So in Bright, what I had to do is I had to add an additional filter. So you can add or remove fields here. And the field I added was laundry type, and it was main floor laundry. So laundry type, and then I chose main floor laundry, right? My point is, they very specifically knew what they wanted. They came in from a specific listing, which to me, there is more intent. I'm going to invest more time and energy into being of value and service to them so that I, myself or Cosette or someone on our team gets the opportunity to help and serve them when they're ready to make an offer and purchase a home. Okay. Couple things that I'm going to knock out before the top of the hour and we log into swipe4leads.com. I had a couple of emails come in overnight from great agents. One of them was Lawrence King in, I think they do business in both Colorado and Vegas. And he asked for the link or the links to, oh, look at this. I already got a reply. Sorry, I'm bouncing around, but Landon already replied. They may go to my wife's email address and she may not have opened them yet. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll get back to Lowe in a minute and what he asked. Okay, so I'm going to say, so he said, they may go to my wife's email address and she may not have opened them yet. Okay, gotcha. Makes sense. This is the email I have Do you have another email I should add to the notifications? Okay, right? I want everybody involved, right? Let's get both of the decision makers here and locked in and creating opportunities, etc. So I got an email last night from Lawrence King, asking specifically, oh boy, I have another lead I might have to follow up on. Oh, look at this. Oh no, that was me. Never mind. Um, uh, I'll explain what I mean there. I got a notification that a homeowner was looking at their home seller dashboard with iList, but it was me clicking on that because I was demonstrating what Ethan was seeing there. Anyway, I'm going to find here. Where's Lawrence? Okay, so Lawrence asked, would you mind sending me the AI newsletter that you use for the thanks.io postcards? And I sent him back. This is really cool and has a number of implications and applications. In thanks.io, which is where I send my monthly direct mail AI newsletter, you can share templates with share codes. Okay, so when Lo clicks on these, they will automatically populate into his thanks.io account. I wonder what will happen if I click on him here. I think it'll log me in. Yeah, there you go. Okay, monthly market update for first name, last name. Scan the QR code to see what street address might sell for today. When they scan the QR code, they're taken to their iList home, home value dashboard, like I demonstrated with that Ethan lead. And then the back of the card is the AI piece of this. So we use an AI prompt that will then populate relevant and congruent information to the recipient based upon their address and the month of the year. Okay. And so I keep talking about this because it is my opinion that if you are at all serious about this business, this is something you all should be doing. You should all be sending this to all of the people in your sphere of influence and all of your past clients. Whether that's 50, 100, 150, or 200, and then you should keep adding people to that. That direct mail newsletter is insurance against those people working with someone else or referring someone else because they forgot you're in the business. Here's the great news about this. All you need to do is get your list in a CSV or Excel file, and we can do the rest. Okay. Now, ideally, you would also want to have iList, which the link to the trial is in the comments section, depending on where you're at. If you can't find it, just DM me, or you can even text me, 717-571-0456, 717-571-0456. I can get you anything. There are also a whole bunch of resources and some of my best stuff as far as generating more conversations, more contracts, and closings in the description with this. But that direct mail AI newsletter, to me, it's just like, it's bare minimum. You got to be doing it. You got to be doing it. All you need is your list. You need a Thanks.io, preferably a business account, which you get free credits with that anyway. And then the iList dashboard. And it's just the best way to make sure that people that already know, like, and trust you are reminded in a cool way every month that you can help them or their friends or family with their real estate needs. Okay. So, and if you need help with that, if you want to strategize on that, et cetera, let me know. So that was the one email that I got that came from Lo. And then Rob Ryan in Arizona, I forget what part of Arizona Rob's in. He said the 5 best seller filters on your September 3rd coaching call. That's our weekly mastermind, which I host every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And even though I'm doing these closer cafes live every day, I'm still doing the mastermind Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And in fact, the link to the mastermind, if you want to join us in the Zoom room, is also in the comments. That mastermind on 9/3, so 2 weeks ago with Ryan, around the 20-minute mark, I mentioned giving the 5 best filters to use to find motivated and distressed sellers. And so what he's referring to is PropStream, which is my favorite preferred data provider to build targeted lists of potentially motivated sellers. This is cold outreach 201, 301, 401, swipe for leads, which I'm going to dig into in literally a couple of minutes here, is kind of like the 101 version, right? The entry point version to it. But this is more high level. So I want to talk through the filters so I have an answer for Rob here. So I'm going to start with the city. I'm just putting in my city that I live in. And always, always, always with PropStream, which by the way, you can get a free trial and I can get you free marketing credits with PropStream at growwithjosh.com, growwithjosh.com/PS for PropStream. growwithjosh.com/PS. You can get a free trial there. And when you sign up, make sure you email or text me. Actually, I would prefer you email me because then I can loop in their team and get you free marketing credits. Okay. When I'm going to build a targeted list of potentially motivated distressed sellers that I'm going to prospect with cold outreach, first and foremost, I always go to MLS, not on the market. I don't want to solicit properties that are actively listed on the market. Okay. Now, some of my other common default filters. I want individual owners. I don't want corporate or mixed or trust, etc. Okay. And I also, generally speaking, I want like 7 or 10 plus years of ownership. I want there to be some equity. Okay. Now, there's a strategy that may come back around that you might, if you've got a team in place to handle short sales. I think in some markets you might see an opportunity on the short sale side, and so the equity, factor or filter may not, be as relevant to you. But for our intents and purposes here, I'm going to do this. So I have individual owned for 7 years, and then I also select include unknown sales dates. Include unknown sales dates. Okay. And then here are the filters that I like going to find motivation. Number 1, tax delinquency. Tax delinquency. So there are 202 properties in Enola where, I forgot one other. You want to choose the property type that you're looking for. Okay. So I'm choosing residential. So there's some commercial tax delinquent. If your deal is commercial, there's 13 commercial and there's 16 vacant land parcels that are tax delinquent. There could be some opportunity there. In fact, I might reach out to those. Anyway, back to, stay focused, Josh. Squirrel. So residential, there's 169 tax delinquent properties with individual owners. They're residential properties. They're not on the market and they've owned for at least 7 years. That's motivated bucket number 1, tax delinquent. Number 2, vacant. There are 32 properties that are vacant that fit that. Okay. Number 3, pre-probate, 19. Okay. So that's 3 buckets. We got tax delinquent, vacant, probate. Number 4, pre-foreclosure. There are 7 marked as being in pre-foreclosure. Okay. Number five, tired landlords. Okay. And what I like to do, you can't select all of these. So these quick filters, you have to kind of go one at a time. So you have to select it. You got to then go over here and select all the properties, add it to a list, and then you have to go back over here and select the different one. Those are my most common. Now, you will see in here, there's also bankruptcy, there is divorce, there's failed listings, and there's liens. Like there's one property that has a lien on it that, might be of interest too. The reason why I didn't talk about those or like highlight those in my top 5. Those are kind of OLI, on the outside looking in, OLI, because in my area, there isn't as much data. So you can see here that, like, if I choose bankruptcy, there's 5. That's actually, there's a fair amount. Divorce, 0, and liens, there's 1. So you could try those as well. But for me, there's just not a ton of data as far as that goes. So Rob, I'm gonna clip that and send that to you. I hope that appropriately answers your question there about that. Okay, we're well past the top of the hour. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Swipe for Leads account. I'm going to get my fresh leads, and then I'm going to send my text and emails to those leads. So go to swipeforleads.com. Swipeforleads.com. I got to find it in my thread here. So let me see if I have it. Let me see. Here we go. So here's my account. I'm going to show you my current saved filter criteria. It's the zip code I live in. It's 2+ bedrooms. It's minimum property value 100,000, maximum property value 500,000, and vacant properties and default residential property type. So I've got that criteria. And I mentioned this yesterday, I think. You can change your saved criteria anytime you want. Now, I'm not suggesting you should, but you can. I think you should pick a criteria bucket, work through all of those, and then you'll get a message when you've exhausted that criteria bucket to move on to the next bucket. Okay. By the way, we're at our high point of live active viewers since I started doing these Closers Cafe. So thank you. Do me a huge favor, hit the thumbs up or the heart button. Okay. So now I'm back over. I'm on the Fresh 5 tab, and I'm going to hit Get Today's Leads. Okay. Get Today's Leads. And now I got my first lead for today. I'm not going to say the address. It's not only is it vacant, but it's got an absentee out-of-state owner. It's vacant and has an absentee out-of-state owner. That's a good lead. It's a good lead. Okay. Now, we called it Swipe for Leads because you can swipe to the right or swipe to the left. And the original idea was like Tinder or Bumble or whatever those apps are for real estate leads. I have found that I prefer using the heart or the X. Okay. It's just I don't know. The swiping is a little wonky. It can work a little bit, but I prefer using the heart or the X. So I'm going to heart this lead. It goes into my save filters. Here's another absentee out of state and vacant. So I'm going to tap that one. Here's another one. So I'm going to tap the heart button on that one. And now I'm going to my saved leads. Okay. So when I go to view a lead, okay, I can't show too close up on here. Okay. I have 5 phone numbers and I have 3 email addresses that I can reach out to. Okay. So I'm going to tap the text button and it pre-populates a text message for me. I am going to get with Sean because I want to change the message that we're sending a little bit. I want the pre-populated text script, and actually one of the new versions, version 2.0 maybe, you're going to be able to select in your profile what text and email script you want to use, and we'll have 3, 4, maybe 5 different scripts that you can use. Would you consider selling your property at and the address to a private client of ours, and then the name. So that's the message I'm gonna send. So, and notice that's a blue text. That's a blue text. What does that mean? That means I just sent a message from my iPhone to their iPhone. It's one of the reasons why we built the app like we did and wanted to build the app in this way, because it drastically increases the likelihood that your message is read. And also from a compliance, TCPA compliance standpoint, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on the internet. So this is not legal advice. But when you send a one-to-one message like that, where you're actually sending the message, it's not automated, it's not robotic, it's not AI, like you're really sending the message, it's more compliant, okay? So I'm gonna now send this same email to, I'm gonna send that, I sent the text message to what was clearly, crap, hold on. What was clearly the person's, or at least one of the persons on title, their cell phone. And now I'm going to send that email. I'm going to send to all three emails, because sometimes it's pretty apparent which email is the best email for the person. In other words, they'll have 3, 4, 5 emails, but some of them are like stuff that, it's at some nonsense. And then one of them is their name at Gmail, like it's probably the right email, right? Their name at Gmail. And as I'm going through this, the third email in the list is actually their name at Yahoo. That's probably their real, like the email that they actually use, because like the other ones have like extra characters and stuff like that. This is just the person's name at Yahoo. It's probably the right email. Okay, so I'm talking and doing this, so I get slow and confused. I'm going to do 3 of these. Just because I want to keep it moving along, and I have some other things that I want to knock out. Okay, so this is an absentee out-of-state owner who the property is vacant and they own free and clear. Like, that's a really good one. That said, there are 5 phone numbers. 3 are marked as a DNC. 2 are marked as unreachable. I'm still going to try the ones that are marked as unreachable, just to see if we can get a response. Okay, so I sent that, and then now looking at the emails, it's hard to tell which of these is the right email address. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but I'm still going to send them. And as I'm doing this, I also want to bring up that one of the other upgrades that we plan to release to the tool, as soon as we possibly can, is the ability right from the app to send the lead into a mailing list in thanks.io, so that you can send a direct mail sequence to that lead about selling their property. Just kind of making the easy button to fire that out. So we got through 2. I'm going to do 1 more here before I have a few other things to share and get knocked out for the day. So there's a whole bunch of this contact, this lead has a whole bunch of phone numbers and emails. I'm going to see, I haven't found a blue text for them yet, but I'm still going to send out, I'm going to send out the message here. Okay. Hopefully you're doing this alongside me and you're working alongside me. My intent with going these lives is to just document what I'm doing to grow my pipeline, and specifically my escrow count. And as much as I love you all watching here, I would love it more if you actually do and implement the ideas and the strategies and the tools, et cetera, that I'm sharing as we are going through it together. And what I would love, even more is that you do that. And then tomorrow or the next day, you share in the comments, hey, I used that to, I used whatever. I used the script that you mentioned that you're sending to people that are showing up in your daily notification summary. And, I picked up a new client, or I potentially picked up a new client, things of that nature. I mean, that's what gets me most excited about doing this and sharing this. And I'm also doing these lives because it is built-in accountability for me. It's built-in accountability for me. When I go live and I'm sharing this stuff, like I have to do the work, A, on these lives, and B, I'm going to be here tomorrow doing the same thing, right? So it's like it's kind of like built-in accountability for me to keep on keeping on, to keep taking action. Okay, so we did our swipe for leads pool for the day. A couple of other things I wanted to share. So swipe for leads is level, what I would say like level 101 for cold outreach. And we built the app to make it easy, fast, simple, and remove as much friction as possible to you actually doing the outbound work to create inbound conversations, to get the hand raisers, okay? Now, level 201, 301, 401 is detailed. I detailed this, and I shared this yesterday. I'll refer to it probably pretty often. The link to our free Skool community is in the description. Go and sign up for the free Skool community, go to Classroom, and our Wednesday mastermind replays are all here in the Classroom area under replays. And the July 9th session is what I would call, like, again, 201, 301, 401 level of cold outbound. And it's what inspired the Swipe for Leads app. And why it inspired the app is for me to do this. You'll see in this replay, there's a lot of steps involved, and you need multiple tools to do the steps. With Swipe for Leads, you just need the web app. Okay. The other cool thing about Swipe for Leads is, you know, we built it to incentivize and reward the habit of taking action, the daily, you know, checking in, getting your leads, doing the work, and rewarding that habit. And the other thing I've noticed, when you, you know, that old physics thing, a body in motion stays in motion, an object in motion stays in motion. When you get in motion, which Swipe for Leads will help you create that habit, then lots of other things start happening for you. And you remember, oh, I need to reach out to this person. I got to call this person. I should really follow up with blah, 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 right? So it's like it's the gateway drug to, you know, bigger and better things. Anyway, the more detailed, higher level version of this, for those of you that have like massive goals that you want to approach, is detailed in the mastermind replay from July 9th. Okay. Why am I sharing that? Because I want to share a number of conversations that I have generated using that, and just illustrate again scripts that are working incredibly well. Scripts that are just continue to do really well. So here is one. I might have shared this yesterday, but I have an update to it, so I'm sharing again today. Hey, Benjamin. Would you consider selling your property at 419 Bobcat to a private client of mine? I own the property at 417 as well. They're on a shared well and septic. They would need to be sold together. Make me an offer. They both have long-term tenants. How much are the tenants paying? I went back and forth here, and then here's what I realized. Why don't I just call this person? Why don't I just call him for the next step? Okay. So once you get the hand raiser, just call him. Okay. Just call him. Okay. So that's one takeaway. So I called Ben, and I said, hey, Benjamin, this is Josh. We were texting about your properties on Bobcat. And then the first thing I did was, hey, do you prefer Ben or Benjamin? Yeah, I go by Ben. So have a great conversation with him. I confirmed some information about those properties, and you know, just trying to build some rapport. I ended up referring him over to a local company that I've got a great relationship with here, who would be the private client buying the property, because it was just easier and faster that way. So I'm texting with Ben on my actual cell phone, right? Blue text exchange yesterday. And in that, it uncovers he is a very successful investor and entrepreneur, and wants me to send him deals, and told me his exact buy box, right? So like, more conversations, more contracts, more closings. More conversations, more contracts, more closings. I also called another one of the hand raisers from in here, and he was a little bit more standoffish. he actually hung up on me. Like, he gave me some information. He was kind of like short with me and hung up on me. I called him right back and I said, hey, look, I'm just trying to get information so I can get you a real offer. He's like, well, I've gotten other offers, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, I want to get you a real offer, Stan. And so he did give me some more information, and he told me, yeah, I'm tax delinquent. Because I asked about it's a mobile on 2 acres or something like that. And I asked, what if the title was retired, or what's the status of that, et cetera. So the lesson for that, or lesson in that for me, was I had to match his energy and his tenacity. Like, he was very, like, I don't know, he was very short and direct and whatever. And like, I matched it. And by the end of the second call with him, his whole attitude and tone changed, right? So more conversations, more contracts, more closings. There was one other one that I wanted to share here. But more so, I wanted to emphasize 2 things from this. Number one, this script continues to work like crazy. Hey, person, first name, would you consider selling your property at address to a private client of mine? Now, for those of you wondering, who's the private client? Where do I get the private client? Well, number one, when you use iList, you can sign up for the free trial. It's in the comment section. I don't think it's in the description. And I know the comments only populate on certain platforms, so you may not see it in the comment section depending on where you're watching. If you don't see it, DM me, text me 717-571-0456, or email me, or drop a comment and say, hey, on whatever platform you're watching. Ask. Anyway, when you use that, one of the features of iList is you can get access to institutional buyers for the property. So that is your private client. Or you use what I'm going to share tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow, here's my plan. And I don't know, this could crash and burn and blow up in my face. But tomorrow, my plan for the Closers Cafe, after my normal morning routine, is I'm going to find a property on market. I'm going to verify motivation and that there's an opportunity and that's a good deal. And then I'm going to go find the buyer for it, all on the live. Okay, all on the live. And it may go horrifically bad. I may crash and burn. But I did this last week before I started the live streaming. I did this last week with an on-market deal, and I found the buyer literally in one phone call. And we're under contract and settling on the 26th, next Friday. Holy smokes, it's coming fast. So I'm going to do that next week. My point is, there's multiple ways that you can find the private client. Okay, the private client, quote unquote. And if you don't, and you just feel like, that's bait and switch because you don't have iList or whatever, then just ask, would you consider selling your property at street address, parentheses, if you got the right price and terms, of course, or for the right price and terms. Okay. So like, if you just, you can't get over the fact that I don't want it to feel bait and switch, like that's the way you could do it. I'm going to show big screen here because I want to demonstrate how cool this is. And I'm going to use my personal information to do this. So when you use iList, and my enterprise version of iList is called fastcashoffers.ai, fastcashoffers.ai. You can go and pull up a property. I'm going to pull up my own property, my own home here, because it's just, might as well use my own information and details here. You pop in the address and you hit search. And it's going to take longer than it might sometimes because I'm live streaming and whatever else. But it will pull back a number of different things. First and foremost, 4 different AVMs. So Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, and REAPI. I forget what REAPI is, but it's from one of the big data providers, First American or Black Knight or whatever. There are then, and this will vary depending on your market, it will then aggregate cash offer options from different institutional buyers. Quick Buy, Zoodealio, Zoomkasa. Those are the three big ones in my market. However, in other markets, Homeward is big and they're great. And there are a few others that are escaping me at this time. I can't remember who some of the other big ones are. Maybe if I come up with I don't know, maybe I'll pull a Philadelphia address or an Atlanta address just to see what some of those other ones are. But my point is, I have three private clients, institutional buyers that I can legitimately say are ready, willing, and able to make an offer on the property, right? So like I can say with confidence this script right here. The other way or times that I use this script is I have a pre-approved, ready, willing, and able client. Okay, they're pre-approved, they're ready, willing, and able. It might be an investor, it might be an owner occupant, and you know exactly what their criteria is. Well, you can find properties. You can set your saved criteria in Swipe for Leads. I don't know why I showed the face of my phone, but in Swipe for Leads, you can set your saved criteria to be their saved criteria, or you can use follow the, I'll call it 301 level process with that's detailed in once again in this replay from July 9th, or you can use that and really, really nail that down to the filter criteria that they're looking for. For example, I did this recently for an investor client who he's actually looking to buy a ranch home for his mom, and I used that to make my outreach very specific and relevant. And in fact, I'm gonna share this. I think I've shared this recently as well, but I want to share this conversation. So here was the initial script that I sent to the audience after I filtered. And I'm not going to share all of this, but I just want to share it as an example of how you can make your outreach seem more real and relevant. Hey, Jerry, would you consider selling your house at street address to a private client of mine? Parentheses, he's looking to buy it for his mom. So I made it very specific to the client. He responded, he has sent me several book-long text messages. And I met him for coffee 2 Fridays ago, and I have an appointment at the house this Friday. So it's just doing the work, right? Just doing the work. And just following up and following through. Every one of you, if you, I've been talking a fair amount about this recently, but working with investor clients, both investor sellers and investor buyers, and every one of you could do that starting immediately and could find who are the active investors in your market, which is part of what I will share tomorrow. But if you don't want to wait until tomorrow, Burton from PropStream did share, let's see here, on our the replay on August 20th. Burton shared how to find the most active cash buyers in your market. Okay, you can also find the flippers in your market with PropStream, and there are other ways that you can do that. For example, recently, what I've been doing is every listing that I have that's coming soon, before we even have it as coming soon, every listing that I have that an investor might be interested in, I go and share that. I'll just share one of the posts here. Let me find one of the posts that I have been sharing into Facebook groups, which have been bringing me the active, potentially interested investors. And so I've been building my actual, responsive investor list through that methodology. Let me show you. Let me find, where can I find one of those examples? Let me think through here. I just need to remember where I can find what one of those posts look like, and prepare to be underwhelmed. They're not, it's not fancy by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share this. Let me share it a little bigger here. So this is a post. I started by posting it on my Facebook page, and then I shared, or I made the same post into multiple local investor and off-market Facebook groups. Okay, so in my market, I have joined several local investor, and there's even at least 2 groups that are specifically for posting off-market inventory or properties for sale. Okay, so the text above this image, I made this image with Canva, and I mean, it's a basic image. Off-market handyman special in New Bloomfield, 1,100 square feet, unfinished attic, 1-car garage. Who do you know that might be interested? Shoot me a DM or call or text me at this number, okay, right here. I did this exact process with a 2-unit property. And I've been sharing this story several times, but I'm going to share it one more time, and then I'm going to wrap up because I've got stuff that I got to knock out outside of this, specifically phone calls. And man, I wish I could put or just openly, easily make phone calls on these live sessions. But in PA, it's a 2-party state, meaning I have to have approval. And I had a phone call yesterday where I picked up and I said, hey, just so you know, I'm live streaming. Are you okay with me continuing the conversation? The guy was super chill and cool. But the general consumer in Pennsylvania, I just know him well enough to know that, might be a little iffy. David, I see your question there. I will address that in a minute. That is a wonderful question that I will absolutely address in a minute here. So, Steve, I sent the text that I have repeatedly shared. Would you consider selling your property at address to a private client of mine? He replied. We had several text exchanges. He actually, I want to say that he called me before he replied to text message. I might be wrong. Anyway, we ended up on the phone. The outreach was about a vacant lot. He mentions in the phone conversation that he also has a 2-unit that he's been thinking about selling, that he's talking to this other agent about. I build, I demonstrate value almost exactly, not exactly, but similar to what I described earlier in the live stream with Ethan, the referral that I got yesterday. I just went over and above to be of value and service to Steve, to where he decided on his own that he wanted to list the 2-unit with me. And we still don't have it listed on the market because there was a tenant that had to be evicted. The eviction has happened, but they still have 30 days to get their stuff out. So there's still some things going on that it's not ready for the open market. But I made a post like the one that I just showed about an off-market 2-unit in blank area being available. I have had no less than, I don't know the exact number, but no less than 25 investors reach out to me. One of which, I've showed several of the property off market. One of which has made an offer. We've been going back and forth for about a week, and I think we have a verbal agreement to get it sold off market. Completely because I'm just doing the work. I'm just doing the work. Like I'm doing the work as though the MLS doesn't exist. I'm creating it out of thin air. You all can do that too, right? Now, it doesn't work in every situation, but might as well do that work because it turns into more leads. I now have, I don't know, 20 to 25 investor buyers that I know are looking for multifamily properties in a specific area, to the point where I did my 301 level process that, again, is in the July 9th mastermind replay to see who else might be thinking about selling. And I'm working on one who the guy's been a tough nut to crack, but I'm not going to give up on trying to convert him because I got multiple people that are ready to go. But Steve said this morning, he's basically agreeing to sell it off market to the investor I brought. I'm good with getting out from under this rental property. Piece is priceless. Do your best to have the buyer help out with the BS fees and hidden charges, etc. Not too shabby. Not too shabby, right? Do the work, do the work, do the work. David, Josh, do you put your name in at the end of the email you send out Swipe for Leads? Absolutely. And in fact, I'm glad you brought this up because I meant to share this and I have forgotten to do that. But what I did is on my iPhone, okay, and I'm sure Android has a similar way to do this, but on my iPhone, when I started using Swipe for Leads, I went to settings. I think this is how I'm gonna have to find. I went to settings and I typed in search at the top, mail, and then the mail apps. And then if you scroll down towards the bottom, it says signature. And I added this signature. So this is the signature at the bottom of all my emails on my phone now. So when I send an email to Swipe for Leads, it puts the pre-populated script above thanks - Josh and then this other info. Okay. I mean, you could do whatever version of that you want to do, but that's a great question, David. And I didn't have that the first day that I was doing it. And I realized in looking at it as before I was hitting send on my phone, I was like, I don't think that's great. And when I do it, that 301 level version that I've referred to over and over and over, I have that full info pre-populated there too. I'll just show you here. So like on these emails that go out, whoops, details. No, where is it? See, I have, Josh Schoenly, EXP, call, text me, whatever. It's not quite as detailed as the one that I showed on here, but it's, it's my information, my name, etc. Because there are plenty of people, and rightfully so, that are like, they're not going to reply because there's no name, there's no info, there's no nothing on it. Like, I mean, that's silly. And by the way, I should have done this. Should have done that. I'm still getting used to the platform and using best practices, but I should have highlighted your comment when it came in. Oh, died. Doggone it. What happened? I got an error hit. Disconnected the stream. Currently Oh, huh. I guess I went too long for Instagram. I was trying to figure out what the Instagram. Okay, so today, 11 a.m. Eastern, which is less than 90 minutes from now, you can join me for our weekly mastermind session. We're going to be talking retargeting, aka remarketing, although they're not technically the same things. And I'm going to define the difference between the two, because I mean, it doesn't matter a lot, but there is some relevance to it. Anyway, we're going to talk about retargeting specifically on Meta and show you a bunch of examples of ads that you should run as retargeting ads, and how to automatically update your custom audiences. So you're retargeting, so the ads are going in front of everyone that's in your database on it, like as that grows each and every day, right? Because listen, your job in this business is twofold: to grow your database and get into as many conversations as you can with that growing database. Grow your database and get into as many conversations as you can with that growing database. The more you do that, the more contracts you write and the more closings, specifically, the more commission checks you will cash or deposit. I don't deposit commission checks anymore. They're direct deposited. And in many cases, the next day, in some cases, the same day with EXP Realty, which, by the way, if you want to talk about joining my organization here at EXP Realty, I would love to talk to you. Shoot me a text or schedule a time at growwithjosh.com/20, the number 20. Anyway, you can join me later at the mastermind. If you missed the live mastermind, all of those, as well as some other great stuff, are added into the Skool community, as well as my YouTube channel, Josh Schoenly Coaching. Thanks for spending some time with me here. David, thanks for the great question. Tomorrow, who knows what'll happen, but tomorrow morning, I'm going to try and play transaction alchemy I'm going to try and find a deal, a property that's a good deal, and then go find the buyer and see if we can marry it all up and make something happen live on the stream. I may fall flat on my face. We'll find out together. Who knows? Thanks for hanging out this morning. Hope to see you in 80 minutes in the mastermind. And if not, tomorrow morning.